I said, look it up, show me it. Like, where is it? And she's looking through the Bible, she's looking. I said, you can't find it, can you?
I grew up in church.
Yep.
I didn't see these red letters.
By the way, Jehovah's Witnesses use the same thing. This isn't uncommon. So it is clear from the next 3 verses that the word gods refers to
Ruslan.
This week we're gonna get a little heady. Hopefully we keep that old intro. I don't want to re-intro this.
Yeah.
But let's jump in.
I'm Muslim, right? So my daughter said, God, Jesus said we were gods, but we can die like normal kings and princes. I said, yeah, we can't talk. No, I said, look it up, because I'm always doing it. I'm always confident.
I don't know if people can understand.
There's a reason.
I love her, Mike. Mike, if you see this, bro, I want no smoke, bro. I love you, bro. But I'm not sure if people can track everything he's saying. He's saying that his daughter told him.
Listen, let's make him a podcast.
We can be gods. We can be gods and die like kings, right? We can be gods and die like kings. Jesus said we were gods.
My daughter said Jesus said we were gods.
Okay.
We can die like normal kings and princes. I said, yeah, we can't talk. No, I said, look it up, because I'm always doing it. I'm always confrontational with my daughter. I said, look it up, show me it. Like, where is it? And she's looking through the Bible, she's looking. I said, you can't find it, can you? And she's waiting. And then she finds that Jesus said we all are gods, but we could fall just like any king or prince once we're hit. We're going to die. We're living. So we're demigods, pretty much, Jesus said. We're gods just with flaws.
That's not what Jesus said. That's not what Jesus... I mean, there is a verse that Jesus echoes a verse in Psalms, but it's not... He's not saying we're demigods. He's not saying that humans are divine. He's not saying there's only one energy and the energy is all amongst us. He's not on no Eckhart Tolle. He's not on no New Age. That is not what Jesus is saying there at all.
So since you know you have flaws, but our only flaw is dying, truly. Because we know we could...
I want no smoke. I want no smoke,
be allowed
Mike.
to be forgiven for everything we did, but we can't be forgiven for dying. We're all going to die.
Yo, just real quick, could you imagine if like Mike saw one of my videos reacting to him and invited me on his podcast? I would be so intimidated to sit with Mike. After this video, I would be so intimidated to sit with this dude. Because one, like I was a huge Mike Tyson fan in the 90s. You know, when he like bit Evander Holyfield's ear off. I was Team Mike.
And what do you think happens when we die? We're like trees, like when the plants die, and then the summertime comes, they come back to life, they blossom again. Is that what human beings do, you think?
So Mike's claim is that we are demigods. Ruslan, go.
Okay, so this is why language is important. Because if you understand language, you understand certain things mean different things in different languages, and sometimes things are translated and they feel weird and are weird. Another thing is you can get into the counsel of God and the Elohim. Michael Kaiser has a whole thing about that. I think somebody may have mentioned that in the chat. So there's like that, right? But I'll give you guys kind of a clean breakdown of this because, by the way, Jehovah's Witnesses use the same thing. I'm not sure if Mormons do. This isn't uncommon. So generally speaking, this tends to be a pretty good resource for stuff like this. So this is gotquestions.org, right? And this is answering this exact question. The Hebrew word translated gods in Psalm 82:4 is Elohim. It usually refers to the one triune God, but it does have other uses. Psalm 82:1 says, God presides in the great assembly. He gives judgment among the gods. Okay? It is clear from the next 3 verses that the word gods refers to magistrates, judges, and other people who hold positions of authority. Okay? So, and rule, calling a human magistrate a god indicates 3 things. He has authority over other human beings. The power he wields as a civil authority is to be feared, and he derives his power and authority from God himself, who is pictured as judging the whole earth in verse 8. Okay, so it's important to note that like when we would say in lords and ladies, right? Like you're not saying... Lord that's Jesus, right? It's the title for a magistrate. You know, it's a title for someone that's in authority, okay? And it goes on further. It says, hey, you want to see something crazy? 67% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed. Do me a quick favor, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date on all the videos here on the Blessed God Studios channel. This use of the word gods to refer to humans is rare, but it is found elsewhere in the Old Testament. For example, when God, this is good. When God sent Moses to Pharaoh, he said, see, I have made you like God to Pharaoh, right? The same word. He's not saying Moses was God. He's saying he made him like God to Pharaoh, right? This simply means that Moses, as the messenger of God, was speaking God's words and would therefore be God's representative to the king. The Hebrew word Elohim is translated judges in Exodus 21:6, 22:8, 9, and 28. Okay, so again, Michael Kaiser does some really good work on this, okay? Now, the whole point of Psalm 82 is that earthly judges must act with impartiality and true justice because even judges must stand someday before the judge. Verses 6 and 7 warn human magistrates that they too must be judged. I said, you are gods, you are all sons of the Most High. So this verse that everybody references, that Jesus is echoing, is actually a warning. It's not affirming people of divinity or little God theology. But you will die like mere men, you will fall like every other ruler. This passage is saying that God has appointed men to positions of authority in which they are considered as gods among the people. They are to remember that even though they are representing God in this world, they are mortal and must eventually give an account to God for how they used that authority. This is foreign to us who live in a democracy or a democratic republic.
Yeah.
We don't think about it the same. But if you think about kings and queens, and Queen Elizabeth passed, and she was the head of the Anglican Church, and you know what I mean? Like there's overlap in all this kind of stuff. We don't come from that society. We don't have a monarchy. We don't have a theocracy. We have a democratic republic. So we don't quite understand how this works. Right?
I'll tell you what, though. They're definitely skipping over this verse in youth group.
Oh, yeah. They definitely scoop. But I don't think they should. I think we should lean into the hard conversations.
I agree. Because I grew up in church.
Yep.
I didn't see these red letters.
Yep. Yeah, that's a fact. Now let's look at how Jesus uses this passage. Jesus had just claimed to be the Son of God. John 10:25-30. The unbelieving Jews respond by charging Jesus with blasphemy since he claimed to be God. Jesus then quotes Psalm 82:6, reminding the Jews that the law refers to mere men, albeit men of authority and prestige, as gods, lowercase g. Jesus' point is this: you charge me with blasphemy based on my use of the title Son of God, yet your own scriptures apply the same term to magistrates in general. So Jesus is not saying, I'm the Son of God, and we're all little gods, and therefore you're God. That's how Jehovah's Witnesses will say, well, God's just a title, and Jesus had the title in general. No, that's not what that's saying, right? If those who hold a divinely appointed office can be considered gods, how much more can the one whom God has chosen and sent? And that's what Jesus is responding to. In contrast, we have the serpent's lie to Eve in the garden. His statement is, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Was a half-truth. Their eyes were open, verse 7, but they did not become like God. In fact, they lost authority rather than gaining it. Satan deceived Eve about her ability to become like the one true God, so led her into a lie. Jesus defended his claim to be the Son of God on biblical and semantic grounds. Okay, so he's defending his title as a Son of God without all the way revealing himself as God in the flesh, as I and the Father are one.
Yeah, because
right?
his time has not yet come.
Because his time had not yet come. Remember, there's a progressive revelation that's happening in the Gospels. It's not, hey, everybody, I'm Jesus, God in the flesh, here to die for your sins. I'm going to go on the cross. Like, that's not, it's a slower progression as the narrative goes on. In the Gospel of John, he's revealing himself more as God. And in the other Gospels, he's forgiving sins. He's raising the dead. So this becomes more of a progressive revelation. He comes as rabbi to rabbi and then Messiah, to Messiah, then Son of God, to God, I and the Father are one, right? And it's a progressive revelation. And then as you see the New Testament epistles, he's full on going, Paul is referring to him as God, right?
Yeah.
You see him repeated as God in the epistles, and then he's worshipped as God by Thomas at the end of the Gospel of John, right?
Yeah.
Where Thomas says, my Lord and my God, and bows down and worships him. So it's a progressive revelation that's happening here. Her ability to become like the true God, so led her into a lie. Jesus defended his claims to be the Son of God on biblical grounds and semantics. There is a sense in which influential men can be thought of as gods. Therefore, the Messiah can rightly apply the term to himself. Human beings are not gods or little gods. We are not God. God is God, and we all know Christ are his children. Okay, so just a little bit of a breakdown for you guys. That is not what that verse is saying. It is not saying we're all going to be gods. It's actually talking about specific people with specific authority, with specific influence. Perhaps a reasonable parallel in our context would be like when you go before a judge, and there's no jury, and the judge has dominion over your life, right? He is like a God over your life. He could sentence you to a light sentence. He could sentence you to a harsh sentence. He could in some certain cases, a judge can determine whether you live or die. You know, that would be a better parallel, I think, in our context. It's not saying we're all gods. We're all lowercase gods, right? It's saying specific people with specific authority acting on behalf of God to carry out justice. That's what that's saying.
Yeah.
I think Tyson, I think Tyson kind of took an L here.
He just took it at face value.
He just listened to his daughter, and that was his first mistake.
Yeah.
Like you could have easily Googled this and kind of got to the bottom of it, which is, again, this is brought up all the time. It's not saying that humans are little gods.
Hey, this clip is from our daily after party stream. If you enjoyed it, consider signing up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month, where you get access to the replays of our daily after party streams, as well as the uncut extended versions of our podcast, Discord access that's private, and a discount code for our merch store, only $5 a month. And ultimately, it's the best way to help us contextualize the gospel of Jesus using media, podcasting, and of course, YouTube. The link for that is in the description or in the pinned comment. The perks are amazing. You should get on there. It's only $5 a month. I'll see you over there, all right? Peace.